يأكل حياة معبل يأكل حفاش تسبي سوكل ميتا زماكل يأكل حياة معبل يأكل حفاش تسبي سوكل ميتا زماكل زمان من حق يأكل بمفار تدهيب مننا بدرجة نوفا بحبان وني يأكل كالبيت زمان من حق نرسلو زمان يأكل حياة معبل يأكل حفاش في سوكل بإيرترا زماكل يأكل حياة معبل يأكل حفاش في سوكل بإيرترا زماكل يأكل معبل يزوفر كم نهبي المسيحان نتذكالا نبرز بمكسي خاص يأكل بهزبي سبار مغلقا حقيف كل محال بخير يأكل حياة معبل يأكل حفاش في سوكل.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Global Yiakl Movement Conference in Milano, Italy. My name is Habteab Butsuamlak Feseha. I am a member of the Yiakl movement in USA and I live in the state of Arizona. I'm asked to give my opinion and my assessment about the global Yiakl movement and the Yiakl movement in general, and I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to at least give my opinion. I wish I could do this in person, but due to circumstances I could not attend the meeting in person, and I'm thankful for the opportunity given to record my opinion and present it. So the questions I am trying to present today are going to be organized in such a manner. Number one, what do I understand about the global Yiakl movement or the Yiakl movement in general? Number two, what has the Yiakl movement done in the pro-justice camp or in the movement for change in Eritrea? Number three, what are the challenges faced by Yiakl movement, which in general are common challenges that are prevalent in the pro-justice camp, and I will conclude by giving my opinion about what should be done next or what should Yiakl movement focus next. Again, what I'm going to present today are just purely my opinion and my assessment. They do not represent any group or organization, and I want people to understand it as such. So my assessment and how I understand the Yiakl movement is that, to start with, Yiakl movement is a product of the movements and pro-justice activities that has been going on before it became organized or established. As we all know, the current Eritrean regime has been doing the human rights violations and the crimes against humanity for a very long time, even before independence. And there were different groups opposing this bad trend that ultimately will lead to this current situation, but its apparent human rights violations became more clearer to many Eritreans around 2001. Yet many people did not dare challenge the regime, and they were just not happy about the situation, but they did not do any tangible activities. However, many Eritreans have been trying to do their best and trying to make people aware about the current trend is not a sustainable trend. In any case, the human rights violations and the crimes against humanity in Eritrea have progressively worsened, and around 2018, despite the previous many attempts and tangible contributions, around 2018, when there was this peace, so-called peace agreement between Isaias and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, Isaias clearly stated that we have not lost anything, or in Tigrinya he said, "Ay kasarnan, ay tafa'anan," which really apparently touched the core of many people, and they started to actively organize and participate, and hence the Yiakl movement became an organization. As I said, the struggle has been going on before that. Even around 2010, 2011, there were movements trying to create a national organization against this regime, but the Yiakl movement has galvanized a larger number of people to participate in the movement for change in Eritrea. And the advantage of the Yiakl movement was that despite all the previous attempts that has been going on in different forms, it has clearly defined role, and that is to galvanize all pro-justice movements and bring them together and work together for change. To me, that's my understanding of Yiakl. And the structure that was chosen at that time was that for Yiakl movement to be not a political organization that specifically aims to compete for power, but to facilitate change through galvanizing all the different political parties, civic organizations, and the larger populace that has been silent. And this is structurally different than many of the previous structures that has been going on. And this have attracted a larger number of people to participate in this activity. And the other advantage Yiakl had was that it is structured in a what we call as democratically as possible, with a grassroots type of organization, the structure beginning from every city, people in every city, despite their different political party participation or non-participation, they all came together, they elected their representatives, and these representatives represented them at a national level and later at an international level, hence the global Yiakl movement. And this structure, again, is also relatively new in my understanding, and it has galvanized the support of many Eritreans. As I said, it is not because Yiakl just came out of the blue. It is based on the foundations that were present for a longer period that many pro-justice Eritreans have been struggling to establish. So Yiakl has the structure and the support of many Eritreans that made it become more recognizable, and obviously threatens the power of the regime in Eritrea. Now, What has Yiakl done so far? Obviously, I'm not going to be able to describe everything that Yiakl has done so far, but to me, it has achieved certain key achievements. And these are, number one, politically, it at least galvanized a larger Eritreans for a democratic change, and it made it clear it is possible to work together with your local people despite of their different political affiliations, and you can come together to work towards the same goal about bringing a democratic transformation in Eritrea. That's number one. Number two, every member in a certain locality, in a city or a few close by towns and cities, they all come together, and with one person, one vote, they vote the person that they trust, that they know that can represent them. That is also, it may not be new, but it has become a norm in the pro-justice camp. Number three, Yiakl, as I said originally, in my understanding, is established to bring every Eritrean that craves for change to work together to bring about change and to bring a transformative democratic process in Eritrea. And with that understanding, it has a department of engagement, which is called Tsindo in Tigrinya. Through this department, it brought all the pro-justice Eritreans under the same camp to work together. It invited every pro-justice camp to work together with Yiakl, along with Yiakl, and to work towards the same goal. And it has managed to establish a coalition of 10 organizations that are currently working together for this same goal. This is a big achievement. It is not necessarily where it is at this time, but it is the foundation that is laid that is important to me and to many Eritreans that I think. And this is one other big achievement. Number two, despite at a limited capacity, the Yiakl movement has recognized the need of our refugees, and by coming together, it was able to establish a humanitarian foundation, which was called Yiakl Foundation at that time, and this mainly came around the COVID time, and it was able to galvanize Eritreans to come together to the rescue of their brethren in the third world countries, and especially at that time in Ethiopia, Sudan, Libya, and others. And it was able to raise a sizable amount of money. It is not the amount that matters, but about $800,000 was raised. This was also not a small feat. And it has done at least a sizable relief work. And more than the amount that was donated, it gave Eritrean refugees a hope that their brothers and sisters do care about them and they are on their side. And this with time has transformed into a different humanitarian organization, which is still continuing to work and do humanitarian relief efforts. This is also a big achievement in my opinion, because it is about establishing institutions, not necessarily about how bigger scale activity was done. Number three, it has introduced the culture of working together and the culture of democratic elections. I'm not saying other organizations do not do that, but the scale, the speed, and the common understanding has grown. Again, remember I said Eritrean struggle is a struggle of generations. It goes from one to the other to the other. And Yiakl at this stage has received the baton, and it may pass it on or it may continue, whatever the situation leads to, but it has built on the momentum that was present. And this is also a big achievement in my opinion. And Yiakl also has done a great diplomatic activity. Obviously, diplomatic activities are wide and long-term and slow process. It's not something that you can just start a diplomatic activity today and you see result tomorrow. And so many of the activities that has been started and propagated and has developed through Yiakl are ongoing, and many of them may not necessarily be seen quickly, but the foundations are being laid down. And the diplomatic engagement with the international community of the pro-justice camp, in my opinion, is at a much better situation than where it used to be. Should it go further? Yes. Have we done a lot and can we celebrate? No. There is a lot to be done. This is only the scratch of the surface. Yet the foundations are being laid down, and that's also a great achievement in my opinion. There are many media activities also they have been going on, and they still are going on. Yes, much more need to be done, but the media activities in Yiakl also has been much better than the previous pro-justice camp activities that have been going on. So I am saying Yiakl has built on what was present, and it has elevated it to a higher level. It needs to go higher than that, I agree, but these are great achievements. Now, let's go to the challenge. What are the challenges? Obviously, again, I may not be able to describe all the challenges, but I will describe the few that I see. One of the main challenges, in my opinion, is change in Eritrea is not going to be quick. And this does create some kind of fatigue, and a lot of us in the pro-justice camp or in many other activities, we may get fatigued or somewhat complacent if changes are not seen quickly. And so many people do not participate as actively as they did at the beginning, and this creates a vicious circle of making the struggle a little more harder. When I say that, now when people do not participate actively, the activities that need to be done fall on few, and the few had to share a larger burden, and with time many of them get into a burnout situation. And this is not new to Yiakl. I'm sure it's seen in many organizations, but this definitely has decreased the momentum of Yiakl from the beginning. At this time, the active participation is not the same as it was in 2019 or 2020. So this is one, in my opinion, the number one challenge. Many of us want to see a quick change, and if we don't see the quick change, we became a little complacent. And also, sometimes some difference of opinion lead into situations where people don't think you are on their side, and they tend to move on or look for another organization. That maybe problem was, I don't know what to call it, whether to call it political maturity or not, but Yiakl also may not have realized about enlightenment campaigns or educational seminars that needed to be given to the masses. Many people do participate mainly because they want to change, but they don't necessarily have all the tools and skills and understanding of how complex struggles for change could be. And they can easily get frustrated. They can easily get annoyed by some little stuff that should not change the course. And unless you have a good enlightenment campaigns or educational campaigns to make them aware of the intricacies of the struggle, they can easily be frustrated and stop participating. And so that's another challenge that I see that Yiakl may need to work on, and but unfortunately has resulted into weakening the participation. Number 3, one obvious reason is we have a very formidable enemy, and infiltration is very high, and this definitely is a big challenge unless we are well prepared for it. So that may have resulted into slowing our momentum. It's not necessarily going to stop us, but it definitely will slow our momentum as much as it can, because it is a survival of the fittest, and they just have to do whatever they can do to stop the movement for change. So what should be done next is my last point that I'm going to try to give my opinion again. Well, in my opinion, Yiakl has a clearly defined role in this movement for change. And to me, it is about galvanizing the pro-justice movement, the different political parties, the different civic organizations, and the larger populace to come together, to work together for change, and to transition into a transformative democratic Eritrea. Now, a lot of people get a little confused about focusing on change as if forgetting what is going to be done after change. Obviously, they go in parallel. Change by itself is not enough. If the Eritrea that we hope to bring tomorrow is not any better than today, then it is useless. But we do have the foundations, we do have the structures that can be laid off for a democratic Eritrea. And there are different activities that have been done before. Starting from 2011, there are different roadmaps and structures that we can use after change. They need to be solidified, they need to be understood, and there are different others that came after it, by the way. There are documents prepared by Senate, there are documents prepared after that by Arabs, and this can be refined and improved collectively. And it is not going to be after change like what the regime tries to say, that there will be chaos, there will be no leader or no party to lead. That is really not a big issue in my opinion. The issue is working together to bring about change. Now, how should Yiakl participate in this, or what should Yiakl's role be? In my opinion, as it was designed at the beginning, Yiakl's role is about galvanizing everyone to come together, to work together, and to bring about change. After change, Yiakl's role will be relatively smaller than what it should be right now. It should be more about focusing on checks and balances and making sure that the democratic process is being followed, but not as a party to compete for power. The reason is, if Yiakl is a party to compete for power, then it's not going to be able to bring everyone together. It has been tried before, and it may not necessarily be productive. People in Yiakl, we have a lot of dynamic, capable people, after change can go and participate in the different political parties that we have, or they may even create their own new parties, depending on the situation. But the Yiakl movement has to continue as it was initially designed, to galvanize Eritreans to work together to bring about change. That's my opinion. Thank you for listening, and I wish a successful outcome of this Global Yiakl Movement Conference in Milano, Italy. Thank you.
Yiakl, Yiakl, حياة معبل Yiakl, حفاش حزبي سوكل ميتا زماكل Yiakl, Yiakl, حياة معبل Yiakl, حفاش حزبي سوكل ميتا زماكل زمان من حق Yiakl بمبار بدهيب مننا بدرجة نوفا بحبان وني Yiakl كالبيت زمان من حق نسلو زمان Yiakl, Yiakl, حياة معبل Yiakl, حفاش حزبي سوكل بإيرترا زماكل Yiakl, Yiakl, حياة معبل Yiakl, حفاش حزبي سوكل بإيرترا زماكل Yiakl, معبل يزوفر كم نهبي المسيحان نتذكالا نبرز بمكسي خاص Yiakl بهزبي سبب ألافات حقيف كل محال مرغن Yiakl, Yiakl, حياة معبل Yiakl, حفاش حزبي